feel like I said nothing interesting.
That's what you think. Wait till you see.
Okay, all right.
What brings you to Melbourne?
I'm a good Chinese daughter. No, I miss my parents. I miss my family. I'm pretty close to my family. I think going overseas was very hard for me to do because I'm so close to my family, but I felt like I had to go beyond Melbourne. So I try to come back as often as I can, and flights are affordable and I can work in the plane anyway.
So it's kind of funny because we had to leave home to meet each other. And we both grew up in Melbourne, but then live in Singapore, and it's a whole mix of everything. Do you feel like you're at home or on holiday right now?
Oh, that's a very good question. You know what? If you had asked me this 6 months ago, I think I would have said home. But this time around, some reason it feels different. It does feel more like a holiday because there's people I need to catch up with. To some extent, I think a lot of the little cultural things I've forgotten about as well, even though I've, been here for 30 years, Melbourne in 30 years. This time around, I felt less at home than I did the previous few times, even though I come back so often, which has been interesting. Like I have these little, I realize Singaporean thoughts in my head or how I do things as well. And even the fastest pace of Singapore. And sometimes in Singapore, you just go, and you forget to say thank you, as an example. Whereas here, everyone says thank you, right? So I'm like, okay, I have to remember to be polite, super polite again. It's not that I'm not, it's just I forget. So I think just little things like that, I've just had to reintegrate. I think the first few days was me just readjusting. I'm back being Australian again, but I'm sure when I'm back in Singapore, I'll need to readjust to being Singaporean.
There's something a little bit fitting about it taking us both randomly traveling down here to meet. Yeah. When did Singapore start feeling more possible than the place you grew up in?
I think week 1, week 2, in Melbourne, I go to networking events. The event ends at the networking event, and there's actually no connection afterwards. And I think I have a theory, I don't know if I'm correct, but I think a big reason for it is Melbourne is so far apart and so cold, so it's actually very hard to facilitate meets after the events, whereas in Singapore, everything's so close, everything's so warm. So literally, if you finish an event and it's 10 p.m, you're do you want to grab a drink? Yes. Or hey, tomorrow I'm free at 10 o'clock. Do you want to grab a cab and go? And it's so easy. Even in our tech community in Singapore, it's so much more advanced in Melbourne in a sense because everyone wants to do something and everyone wants to help each other and everyone is already building something. We met at a Code with AI event, right? And so even that, I wouldn't say I know many Australians that take over their Saturday and Sunday to do a Code with AI event, right? And both of us forgo our Saturday and Sunday to build something that was out of the ordinary to benefit our lives or have a bit of fun. And so the density of meetups and the people that you meet actually happen a lot more quickly, whereas here I've kind of forgot about that. So last week I met some people and they're like, I'm not free till 2 weeks time. And I'm like, I'm going to be gone in 2 weeks. And so I think because of the distance, this is my theory anyway, things happen kind of more slowly. And I don't think it's because Australians are less hardworking, because I think there's a perception that, Australians are lazy. But I don't think Australians are lazy. I think it's more the distance that facilitates lesser relationships. I've noticed I make so many friends in Singapore, way more than the amount of friends I make in Melbourne. And I think I think a big part of it is whether it's distance, it's being able to do things, there's activities to do, whereas Melbourne is just you do the same thing. In Melbourne, it's do you want to go to Costco together?
We're both third culture Asian women trying to build careers overseas. What do you think pushed you harder, opportunity or escape?
I think opportunity. For me, definitely opportunity. Actually, you know what, maybe a bit of both. I think Melbourne, I have a lot of responsibility because I have a lot of family, so I feel like I have to always be there for everyone. Melbourne made me feel constricted in a sense. And I feel like overseas, I could learn a lot more, do a lot more. I think I actually messaged you about this, the tall poppy thing is very hard for me. So, in Australia, there's this thing called tall poppy syndrome. So tall poppy is when there's poppies, and then if you go too high, people want to chop you off. And essentially, if you're doing too well, people either talk about you or they don't like you, or they're like, that person's not doing well, and they push you down. And so it's really conflicting. If I was in Melbourne, I would never said I was a high achiever.
Wow.
Even though I was. I went to school, I was school vice captain, I got pretty good grades. I can say that I can speak many languages. But I think when I was in Melbourne, I was I never wanted to say that, because you never want to be that person that's oh my God, Serena's talking again. And you never want to be that person that stands out. And so I think I was very conflicted in a way where I never wanted to go for opportunities because I was scared of how people would judge me, or even I would be scared to post on LinkedIn because I didn't want people to judge me in a certain way. And then that's layered on with, and I think I messaged you about this as well. It's layered on with tall poppy syndrome, and then being Asian, like not wanting to stand. I've thought about this a lot, like not wanting to stand out too much because you don't want to be like that annoying person that talks too much. And then being female as well, you don't want to like be inconsiderate of all the feelings around you too. And so I think for quite a while, I really struggled with that, trying to be me when I was younger. If I had good grades, I wouldn't talk about it. I'd be like, oh yeah, I got a pretty low score, but I didn't. I got perfect grades, right? Or if I did a really good job, or I remember like now I use it. I can talk about it because I think it's funny. But back then, like I doubled my salary and I earned the most out of all my friends when I was 23. But I didn't say anything as well. And looking back, like I really started telling friends when I was 25 because I felt like my female friends weren't fighting for their salary enough. And so I did it as a way to teach them and be like, hey, yo, you guys are not getting paid enough, push for it. But I think before that, I would be too scared to talk about it because I didn't want to be that person that was standing out, I guess. It's like, I hate posting on LinkedIn, and people who do not know me would not even think that because you see me on LinkedIn all the time, like trying to post and they're like, oh, I always see on your LinkedIn. And they're like, oh, you must love it. I hate it. Right? It's so uncomfortable for me, but people don't see that. And it's because I'm pushing myself and I can see the benefits of it. And it has helped me get a lot of opportunities in Melbourne. I had thought about it for 5 years and I didn't do it. Yeah, I know.
Years.
Yeah, I had.
It took you 5 years to post on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And even when I did post, if you look back 5 years ago, they weren't very good because I was scared of what people would think. I was scared of tall poppy syndrome. So if you think about this vulnerable raw post, and then I'm thinking about, is this going to be too show-offy? Is this going to be right for the person? And then you're adding all these extra layers. You then strip out all the emotion and then it's a boring post, right? And so I think the moment I unlocked that, and I think it was actually talking to Sherry. Sherry's like, who gives a fuck? She's really good at that, by the way. And I think I was also very insecure about my English grammar as well sometimes because my partner's a lawyer and he's very like, that doesn't make sense. And I got really insecure about that. And Sherry was like, no, that actually makes it more unique. And so I was like, you know what, let me try it. And so I started building all these posts out. And I still got the grammar check, but I was a bit more raw, a bit more brave with what I had to say. And then they did really well. What ended up happening is I remember the first post I had, I got like 10 people on my wait list.
Wow.
Of leads. Yeah.
Wow.
So for my sales product. And then the second time I did, it was 15 leads. And so I'm like, the worse I talk about myself online, the more leads I get. So why am I like worried about this polished version? And then I actually did one more thing. I'm like, let's do a really polished version of myself and see how great I am. Oh my God, that tanked and I got no leads from it. So like weirdly enough, the more vulnerable I was, or the more, I guess relatable or honest that I was, I actually got way more engagement. And that post had nothing to do with my product, by the way. It was like completely different, but somehow people who were in my ICP cared about the sales product that I was building and was curious. And then, yeah, they signed up and then about 70% of them became paying customers, which is awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So every time I hate posting, I just remind myself, oh, I'm going to get leads. I'm going to be someone really cool. And then that's the validation. And now I'm like, it's still tricky for me or lie, but I'm a lot better than I was like a year ago.
Yeah. I feel like I went through exactly the same thing. And funnily enough, I think I didn't feel bad about all the content I was doing until I came back here.
What?
Yeah. Like, I don't know what it is. It's not even the people. It's just like, I think coming back here, it feels like I can't share that I'm doing this.
Man, it's a tall poppy that's got you.
Yeah. Okay. And something else I realized is most people don't think about me.
Yeah. No, I think that's the biggest thing. Most people don't care. You are insignificant. They're caring about their own life. And you just need to remind yourself of that. And that's all right.
Exactly. Yeah. We talked about this a little bit before.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel like there's an unspoken immigrant daughter contract, like the soft pressure to make your parents' sacrifices worth it. Is that something you feel?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's pretty big. I think there's a few layers. My CTO is my brother. So I got him to quit his job. So that's a bit big. My parents are Vietnamese refugees as well. So they left Vietnam 50 years ago, 49 years ago. So 50 years next year. That was quite huge as well. A lot of the time I want to make sure that I make them proud and what they've put me through is worth it. And, my goal, and me and my brother both say, like, we want to retire our parents so our parents can chill and not pay the mortgage and everything. Okay, to be fair, I think my parents are quite proud of me, but I feel like I'm always not doing enough. And I'm not sure it's part of being an immigrant daughter as well. Like, you always want to do more. And especially because you know, we came to Australia with nothing. My grandparents had nothing. My parents had nothing. Like, I want to make sure that they can retire and live a pretty good life and not need to worry about money. So yeah, that does weigh on my mind. Hopefully, like, you know, I said to my like boyfriend, I was like, you know, if I'm rich, I'll take the whole family on holiday. And we've got a very big family, so we've got like 30 of us.
Whoa.
So fingers crossed, if I make it, I want to make sure like I look after my whole family as well.
What do you think your family sees in the life that you're building now?
I think initially they didn't love it because one, like, why am I going to Singapore? Like, Australia's great. They moved here for a reason. I was born here. Two, I made a lot of money in my corporate job and I was like due for like the next increase. And I think it didn't make sense that I'm like going back to like no salary basically to start this startup. So that took a while. Like, I think the first 6 to 12 months, my parents were like, are you sure this is the right thing? My dad, I think, was a bit more understanding because he used to have his own business as well. And he understands the first 3 years are really hard. So he was supportive. But my mom, the first 6 to 12 months was like, oh, you know, once you get a job, you can make so much more money. And it's always about the money figure. But I think now that they've seen, like, it's cute. Like, now my mom, like, comments on my LinkedIn's as well. But now that they've seen, like, we've grown the business and to a point where I don't think they thought I was able to grow it. I think they're a lot more prouder, but only a little bit. There's always it'd be easy if you found a job, like that kind of thing. I had an easy life. Why make it so hard? But yeah, I'm kind of seeing it as the bigger picture.
As an immigrant kid, money means something different, right?
Yes, survival.
What does it mean?
Yes. Yeah, no, good. Yeah, survival. So in Vietnam, only the richest people could escape, right? But then coming to Australia, everything's stripped away from you because you're pretty much paying everyone to get onto the boats. You're paying the immigration guards, everything. So when you're in Australia, there's like no money. So my parents, like separately, had to start from scratch. I remember like my uncle telling me when they first went to school in Footscray, they were eating like bread with butter and twisties. Like, you know, the chips, twisties, to make it tasty. And that would be like 5 cents back in the day. And so that would like make them full. And, you know, you had practically no money back then. And so there's this mentality of like, I think survival mode, because in Vietnam, the Viet Cong took away everything from people who were rich, especially from the Chinese. So my family being Chinese, I remember when my grandpa told me he went to Taiwan for a business trip, came back and he had photos with all these stars because we were watching this old Chinese TV movie. And he's like, oh, I've met them before, but I had to burn it all because of the Viet Cong. Like all the photos, because if the Viet Cong saw a family would have been like taken to the concentration camps, which is kind of crazy, right? And so we went through like literally the Viet Cong raiding our houses like every week. And it was pretty scary. And you couldn't show that you had any money at all. And so, yeah, I think that's what forced my family to leave. Even though they were doing really, like, they were contributing back to society. Like, my grandparents were telling me every month they'll get all of their helpers and ask them to bring their parent family to come along to eat. And my grandpa would look after them and feed them food. But that wasn't enough. They had to give money back to the Viet Cong. So, I think it was quite tough. And then on top of that boat ride, I hear about it all the time. And I'm not sure if you know much about the Vietnam to Australia, but the pirates had come on board, strip you of all your money, then have like one sip of water a day from a spoon, pretty much starving all the way here from like Vietnam to, well, Malaysia first and then Malaysia to Australia. And there's like no food. And so I think because of that period of trauma from like Vietnam to like, my family was in jail because the first time when they escaped, they were unsuccessful. And then coming here, I think that brought a lot of trauma and like the survival mindset. But then like on the other end, my family did really well in Australia. Like, you know, we're living in Melbourne, all that kind of stuff. Like they worked really hard, but there's this weird thing of like, make a lot of money, but we want steady money. Like, whereas entrepreneurship is not steady money at all. It is like, it can go super high, super low. You could be bankrupt literally tomorrow. So it's, I don't know. It's interesting. Like it's this, you want to make sure you don't lose what you have, but then it means that you don't take risk, which for me, I feel like if I don't take risk, I'll lose out an opportunity and I regret not trying my best in life. Because I feel like for me, a corporate job is kind of I could always go back to that, but I feel like I could never be a founder again. with this level of energy, like, we age.
You talked about opportunity.
Yes.
What is the opportunity you're chasing?
Yes. Oh, so excited for this one. So we're building Fuzzy AI, if you want to check it out. It takes away all the mental load of all those little micro decisions to get you to your leads. So what does it mean? When a lot of people do sales right now, there's so much you need to do. Research, figure out how to write the message, copyright it, then figure out when to send the message, then figure out when to send the next message. And then you have to look at it again, like, okay, have they replied me or not? And then build out the whole sequence. And then on top of that, you have to build your brand. Like, if you send a message to people, are they going to reply to you? Not really. So we kind of do all of that. So everything the salesperson needs to do, we kind of use AI to optimize that whole process. Essentially outreach and outbound.
For anyone out there who's thinking of taking a big leap and moving somewhere else,
I can just do it. I thought about it for way too long. I wish I did it earlier. There's a saying, is this a reversible decision? And most decisions are reversible. You can always go back to what you do. If they're not reversible, then you have to think about it again. But if it's reversible, just do it. Don't overthink it. Take the leap.